do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monte Sports Show. It is Sunday, December 27th, 2020. I am your host, Monte Perez, a.k.a. The Sports Whisperer. You can follow me on social media, on Twitter, MonteJP231, on Facebook, Monte Perez, and on Instagram, Monte Perez 2. I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. You know, it's hard to really get into the spirit of Christmas when you grew up on the East Coast like I did with the snow and the cold, and then you come down to Florida and it's hot. But I hope everyone had a safe and very happy Christmas. I want to thank everyone for tuning in last week. We had 35 states across the country watch the full Monte Sports Show. And again, we are trending number 3 on YouTube for sports shows. Trending number 3. Now, there are some times where I go to YouTube and I type in sports shows and we're number 7, we're number 5, but consistently we're getting number 3. And it's amazing because we only do this show once or twice a week. With your help, I want to do this 5 days a week. So tell one friend and tell a family member. If you like sports and comedy, this show is for you. Big shout out to my friend Felix and my friend Krishan. They got me this windbreaker for my birthday, Oregon Ducks. And the beautiful rotating helmet that you see right there on the top of your screen, the Oregon, these guys obviously know what I like. The more duck gear I have, the better off I am. So I want to thank everyone for that, especially Felix and Krishan, because I don't know why I'm thanking everyone. I should just thank them too, because they're the ones who got it for me. We have the best guests all across the country, and this week is no exception. We were going to have Anna Lewis on to come on and talk about the Tennessee Titans. Unfortunately, she lives about 2 miles away from the explosion there in Nashville. So our thoughts and prayers for anyone who's been affected. She doesn't have power. She will probably be joining us next week. So hopefully they get their power up, and glad that she is safe. Daniel Goodwin is going to join us. Talk about the Chicago Bears. Look, guys, the Chicago Bears are really playing well. They're scoring a lot of points. Matt Nagy's an offensive coach, and over the last few weeks, they have been putting up points. They are 7-7 and really in the hunt for the playoffs. So excited to have him on. And then Ariana Prasad is going to join us. She's going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks, one of my favorites to go to the Super Bowl now that they acquired safety Jamal Adams and Carlos Dunlap. They are playing very well as well. So those are 2 great guests. You definitely want to stick around for that. And, of course, at the top of the show, Rico, Show Me the Money Graziano, is going to join us. He has 11 winning weeks. 11 winning weeks, people. Only 3 losing weeks against the spread. 11 winning weeks, 3 losing weeks. He's winning a lot of people money. So we are so happy that Rico will be joining us. Again, doing a tremendous job of getting people money. Tremendous job of breaking down the NFL week in and week out. So look forward to that. And, of course, our drinking game. Anytime we say one of these words, look, guys, whether you're drinking coffee, mimosas, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, we're going to say these phrases a lot. I am fired up today. So be on guard for that. I'm very salty today. I'm very salty. And I shouldn't be, because I had a great birthday and I had a great Christmas. But before we get into why I'm salty, let's start our journey today with this. So I posted a video of my parents dancing. I posted it last year. It got 2 million views. I posted it this year on Thanksgiving. It got over 20,000 views. And everyone says the same thing to me. Oh, I wish I had that relationship. I wish, I could meet someone and love will stand the test of time. 3 times this week, my married friends text me. They don't know each other. And they text me, it's time for you to get married. It's time for you to get married. Now, look. Okay, men and women are so different. From big things to little things. First of all, I'm always hot. Sweating all the time, always hot, especially at night. Every woman I've ever dated is always cold. They sleep with a ton of blankets. I don't sleep through the night. So if I wake up and I used to see one of the women I'm dating, they look like Grimace. All I see is their eyes behind a beautiful, big blanket. I'm always hot. The women I date are always cold. Opposites, right? You would think that's a good thing, but it's not. Another thing, when men are quiet, They're just watching the game. They're not thinking about anything. When women are quiet, they're annoyed with you. I'll never forget the time before COVID. I went to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and the couple in front of me, the guy's listening to his earbuds, and the woman says, I haven't said anything in 12 minutes. Don't you care? And he says, what are you talking about? We just went out for breakfast. We were laughing. She goes, yeah, you haven't talked to me the whole 20 minutes we've been in here. He looks at her, dumbfounded. She goes, I'm upset. He goes, how can you be upset? We just were laughing all the way around here. Women get upset. When they don't talk, a woman is upset. One time, I'll never forget, I was dating this woman, and she calls me up, and she says, I'm so mad. I said, what happened at work? She goes, no, I took the train home, and there was this gorgeous girl, and I know that if you were on the train, you would have liked her. I know that if you were on the train, you would have liked her. That's what she said to me. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, no, and if I wasn't on the train and you saw her, you would probably flirt with her and get your number because she was your type. She was mad at me for something I had no control over. And I said, you're my type. That's why I'm dating you. You're my type. That's why I'm dating you. Now, this is a true story. This is a true story. There was a man who got hit by lightning 6 times over 10 years. He got hit by lightning 6 times over 10 years, and he never died. Went out with a woman for 6 months. She broke up with him, and he killed himself over her. He killed himself. What God couldn't do in 10 years by trying to take this man's life, a woman did after 6 months. And now here's the thing that really bothers me about relationships. Anytime you watch a sitcom, it's always the same thing. King of Queens. Everybody loves Raymond. It'll be the guy's birthday. He's talking to his friend. He's like, I'm hoping to get lucky tonight. The wife comes in. Hold on. Hold on. You got to mow the lawn. You got to pick up my parents. You got to get the caterers. You got to do this. Then we're having the party. And he's like, that only leaves 15 minutes for sex. And she'd be like, well, then what are we going to do for the other 11 minutes? And everyone laughs. I'm not the typical guy. I cook, I clean, I do my own laundry. But every time on one of these shows, the woman goes out for the day and the guy has to watch the kids, disaster happens. Like the underwear's hanging off the kid, the fire burns down, he has food like this little gif here. And it goes even further. It goes even further, this stereotype of how men and women are. Barack Obama, the president of the United States, former president, every time they asked him a question, what did he say? What did he say? Well, I got to check with the boss, Michelle, and see what she says. Really? The boss? You're the most powerful man in the world. And you got to check with your boss? She's smarter than me. She runs the show. Really? Really, dude? Really? Look how happy he is in this clip. Look how happy. That's not fake. So if the president of the United States is falling into that stereotype, we're all doomed. Now, sometimes love. Am I the only one? Am I the only one overreacting to that? Obama would always say, "She's the boss." Really? So if you're in a meeting with the world leader, are you calling Michelle? She's the boss. Really? Tony Danza, she's the boss. Remember that? Who's the boss? But sometimes love is blind. And here's the thing. And I'm going to share this Christmas story with you, and then we're going to get our guest on. Sometimes love is blind. Now, I was a former office manager for this company. They had over 300 employees. And now half of the employees were all over the United States. Some were coming in for this holiday Christmas party. So my boss calls me in around Halloween and says, look, my wife is starting to get into event planning. And she didn't work for the company. He's like, she wants to do this party. I know this is your thing. You organize all the parties, but can you let her do this? I said, sure. Does she need any help? No. She's going to organize the holiday party. So we closed down on Friday, December 22nd at 3 o'clock. The party was a cocktail hour from 6 to 8. And then 8 to 10 was the big party. So I go into Hoboken and I check into the W Hotel. Now, the W Hotel, they gave us a discount. If you were staying there that night because of the holiday party, you got the room for $59. Now, the W Hotel is beautiful, right on the water. Now, when I got in, they gave my room to someone else. So they upgraded me to a suite for $20. They upgraded me to a suite for $20. Now, the room was absolutely beautiful. It was beautiful. Overlooking the water. I had 3 TVs, 3 bathrooms. It was gorgeous. I didn't even want to leave. I called my friend Mike, who worked for the company, his wife. They came over. We had drinks, and they told us since it was such an inconvenience, any alcohol there, they had a mini fridge, was mine to have for no charge. Beautiful hotel. So at about 6:10, he's like, yo, we got to go over there. We walk a block to this party, and again, a holiday party, an office Christmas party. We walk in, and the wife has it set up as a theme party for 4th of July. As a theme party for 4th of July. I am not kidding you. I walk in, and I'm like, what is going on? And then my friend Mike says, what did she do? And I said, well, you know what? It is a holiday party. Maybe this is her favorite holiday. So we have 6-foot subs. Everyone got a hot dog, a hamburger, and French fries. And then something happened here that I still don't understand this. Texas Grill Fritos. Fritos with grill marks on it. Now look, when I was a kid growing up, almost every Sunday we had a pool party and a grill, and all my friends, my dad's friends would come over. It was big time. We played pool volleyball, which, by the way, in 7 years, I never lost a pool volleyball game. I know that has no significance on the story, but I just want to tell you what an athlete I am. Never lost the game in pool volleyball. 7 years. So they're serving Frito Texas Grill. My dad was the barbecue master growing up. Never once did I see Fritos on a grill. My dad would never say to me, hey, how do you like your Frito? I don't know, Dad. Medium well? And everyone went crazy for these Texas Grill Fritos. I looked on the internet for like an hour to try to find someone grilling Fritos. I don't know who came up with this idea. I don't know why I'm obsessing on it, but it's ridiculous. Texas, look at this picture. Do you see any Fritos? No. Okay. So after 45 minutes of having this, 4th of July party on December 22nd, his wife comes out in a Daisy Duke outfit. Now it's a costume party. She says, I want to thank everyone for coming in, but can you go outside because we have to change the room? We have another theme. What? So people get their coats on. She's like, I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here like it's 2 o'clock in the morning at a bar. So half the people get there and they're standing outside in the sleet, snow, and rain waiting for this group of people to change the theme. Now, I went to another bar. My boss texted me at about 30 minutes later and said, hey, you guys can come back. We come back, and it's a Harry Potter theme. A Harry Potter theme at Christmas. Harry Potter. So, after the 45 minutes of the Harry Potter theme, we're now going into the big room for this holiday party. So you think finally she's going to close the deal. It's going to be miraculous, but no. All it is balloons and her name Nelly on it. That's all it is. We sit down. I go to the DJ and I give him a request of songs that we want to be played. He says, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm under strict orders by Nelly to only play her songs. And I say, what are her songs? He says, you'll have to wait a minute, sir. About 15 minutes come in, and the DJ says, "Ladies and gentlemen, for your entertainment, Nelly and her group." She comes out and she starts singing Christmas carols. She has 6 backup dancers, 4 women, 2 men. And here's the thing, guys. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean. But she couldn't dance. She couldn't sing. Think of the worst American Idol audition ever. That was her. Now, to her credit, her dancers, men and women, were both attractive and they were very, very good. But she was not. I go to the DJ and I say, "How many songs is she doing?" He goes, "Well, she's doing about 15 throughout the night." 15? Halfway through the second song, remember the gong show? I wanted to find a gong and I wanted to say, "Make it stop." I look over at my boss. He is smiling ear to ear. Smiling ear to ear. Third song, I look at Mike. I say, "I'm out." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm going back to the W." We go back to my room in the W, and like 10 people came. We start drinking. We start hanging out. Within 30 minutes, it turns into Wedding Crashers. There's like 70 people in the room. The W sent up beer. They sent up wings. An hour in, I look over. I see the owner of the company having a cocktail. I look over. I'm thinking he's going to be mad at me. He gives me a toast. I walk over to him thinking he's going to yell at me for leaving. And I say, "Are you mad that we're here?" He's like, "No, no, 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 no." I was like, "What are you doing here?" Thinking he's going to criticize his wife and say that I can't take it either. She's doing a 15-set musical. He says, she's at intermission right now. Intermission? It's a Christmas party. Why is this woman giving a concert? And then he says to me, "May not be for everyone, but I love when she sings and dances. It makes me crazy." So here's the thing, guys, going back to my original point. I will support any woman I date, no matter what they want to do. But when someone can sing and dance, when someone is singing and they are worse than the American Idol, the worst performer in American Idol, isn't it your obligation to tell them? He was so happy with his wife's performance. So happy, so in love. God bless him. I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. Again, I wanted to gong her. She was that bad. But moral of the story, she couldn't have been that good because she never did another event party. And I don't think she ever gave an impromptu concert like she did that night. And that is my Christmas story. And that is my not dating story, but relationship story. All right. We start each show with the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's get right to it. Let's get right to it. Let's start with the good. Look, the Washington football team, they're 6-8. They're 6-8. And I don't know if you've ever seen the story on Netflix with Alex Smith, how he had 19 surgeries on his leg. They said he almost got his leg amputated. He wasn't going to be able to play or walk. Their coach, Ron Rivera, pictured here, chemotherapy this year. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. Great story. Should be comeback player of the year. Should be maybe coach of the year in Ron Rivera. Now, again, we start each show with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's go to the bad. Guys, I'm just going to say it right now. James Harden played great last night. Played great. Over 40 points, over 15 assists. But this guy's an absolute cancer. He is an absolute cancer. Was fined $50,000, going to a strip club, breaking protocol. And now John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, they weren't able to play. They weren't able to play because they're in COVID protocol. Look, James Harden is a great fantasy basketball player, but he's a cancer in the locker room. No winning coach wants him. No one wants to be on his team. And he came into camp grossly out of shape. And now finally to the ugly. Look, I'm all for giving people second chances, but the sad saga of Josh Gordon battle against substance abuse has taken another wrong turn. As he was preparing to return to the field for the first time since he was suspended indefinitely by the NFL last year, the talented, troubled wide receiver set another setback. The 29-year-old Gordon's career may be in doubt. Look, guys, this is not about Josh Gordon playing football. This is about him getting his life back on track. He has a terrible substance abuse policy, addiction. He can't ever make it through a full season. Maybe the NFL should step away and not sign this guy because he has enough on his plate. And right now, that plate is full, and he keeps failing protocols for drug rehabilitation. He keeps getting suspended. Josh Gordon is a top 10 wide receiver when he was healthy, but right now, he's not. Right now, he's not. And I want him to get the help he needs. And that doesn't mean playing football. That means getting your life right. And there you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, we go right around the NFL, and then we're going to get Daniel Goodwin on to talk about the Chicago Bears. You know, I get a lot of slack on Twitter for my predictions, but I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm 72 games above 500, picking straight winners. 72 games above 500, guys. 115, 43-1, 72 games above 500. Let's get right to it. Look, the Browns, there's four or five players who are not playing because of COVID. They're being tested for it. I think the Browns are one of the better teams in the AFC. They're not going to have many wide receivers, so look for Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to not only catch the ball out of the backfield, but run. The Browns are on the verge for making the playoffs for the first time since 2020. Take Cleveland here, 31-17. 31-17. Atlanta Falcons at the 13-1 Chiefs. Look, Chiefs have won 6 straight one-possession games. One-possession games, the Chiefs are winning. I expect this to be a shootout, and I'm going to take the Chiefs here, 37-33. They're going to set an NFL record. They're not going to cover the spread. It's going to be a closer game than people think. So 7 straight games the Chiefs are winning with 1 possession or less. All right. 5-9 Denver Broncos at the 5-9 Chargers. The Chargers are playing well, losing. I think Justin Herbert does enough. I don't think Anthony Lynn's going to be there next year, and let's hope not, because Justin Herbert is doing well without him. Despite him, I should say. Take the Chargers here, 24-23. 5-9 Giants at the 9-5 Ravens. The Ravens have scored 34, 47, 40 points in 3 straight wins. Make it 4. They roll here, and they score 40 points, 40-23. 3-10 Bengals at the 4-10 Texans. Nobody cares about this game. If you live in Texas and Cincinnati, I don't even think you care about this game, but I'm going to take the Texans since Joe Burrow is out for the year, and I'm going to take the Texans 30-17. Chicago Bears at the 1-13 Jaguars. We're going to get into that in a minute. The 4-10 Carolina Panthers at the 6-8 Washington football teams. The Panthers are playing well. They usually cover. They usually stay in games. I think Washington causes a late turnover here, and they win it. I think Washington wins it here 24-19. And then finally, we were going to have Anna come on the show, but like I said, because of the explosion, she doesn't have power. She needs to take care of that. That's much more important than this show. Packers at the Titans. Look, it's going to be a snowstorm down there. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. This is a huge test for the Green Bay Packers. A huge test for the Green Bay Packers because we know they can't stop the run. Derrick Henry's going to run early and run often. They're going to try to control the ball. I expect Aaron Jones to have a much bigger game than Devontae Adams. And look, if the Packers win this game, I'll have all the confidence in the world for them to make a deep playoff run. I'm taking the Packers here in a very close game, 24-20. And there you have it. I am 115-43. 115-43-1, 72 games above 500, 72 games above 500. We take you around the NFL. We take you around the NFL. All right, let's do something that we love to do right now. One of our favorite things before we get Daniel on, and that is we do this every week. Love the feedback. Love the feedback as we surf the crowd. As we surf the crowd and get everyone just basically saying, yes, yes, women are emotional and very hard to read. When women say everything's okay, run. Very nice. Very nice. Yes. Yes. All right. Keep the comments coming. If I don't get to them during the show, I definitely read them during the week. I think what I'm going to start doing now, because people seem to comment so much on the opening rant, after I do the opening rant next week, I will get to your comments right away. I won't wait until I finish the entire segment. And now it's time to bring on one of our favorite guests. Dan, whoa, that is a nice Chicago Bear sweatshirt. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I appreciate you having me, and thank you very much.
Very nice. Look, I'm getting you matched now with your background right there.
I see.
Was
Looks
that
good.
present or did you have that?
I'm sorry?
Was that a holiday gift or did you have that
Oh,
sweatshirt?
no, I've had this for a little while.
That's a very nice sweatshirt. All right, let's get right into it. Where is this offense coming from of late? Okay, the Bears, 30 points in a loss, 36-33. Is it just Mitchell Trubisky finally growing into his own, or has it been a different scheme?
Well, I mean, the hot take would be me saying Mitch Trubisky is the end all be all to this little turnaround that we've had. But I'm going to be honest about it. It's not only Mitchell Trubisky. He's part of it. He's part of the solution. But David Montgomery being able to run the ball the way he has the last several weeks has been invaluable to this. And then you also have the play calling. Bill Lazor, he does a considerably better job than Matt Nagy at calling plays in situational football, being patient, things like that I've kind of looked forward to. And it's a great thing for the Bears. And then of course you got Mitchell Trubisky. He adds a different dimension to the Bears offense. When Nick Foles was in the game, he was a statue. He's not going to break the pocket. There was no threat of it. With Mitch Trubisky in the game, there's a threat that he can get outside, that he can do some things. He can break off a 20, 30, 40-yard run at times. So defenses have to prepare for that, and they can't be so gung-ho about blitzing and running in on the quarterback, because you have to stay disciplined when you play a quarterback that can break the pocket.
Dan, people are going crazy for this shirt. Where did you get it?
I got this from Fanatics.com. It's a Mitchell and Ness kind of a throwback jersey, or not throwback jersey, but a hoodie. So
no, yeah, it's really, really nice. All right, so you mentioned David Montgomery, 32 carries, 146 rushing yards against the Vikings. He literally outplayed Dalvin Cook, who in some circles, if Minnesota was a little better, you could say Dalvin Cook was the MVP. Why has he gotten hot of late? Because I know that offensive line has been suspect at times.
Well, yeah, the offensive line has been terrible, not suspect, but terrible several times throughout the year. But we've basically changed some things up on the offensive line. You got some young guys that came in, some undrafted free agents that we had that have been on the practice squad, and Alex Bars and Sam Mustipher, Notre Dame boys. And those guys have come in. They've really solidified the offensive line. They've added some fortitude there, and we're able to push some people around a little bit, which is something that we didn't have a chance of doing before. Also, we have the ability to stay patient. When I talked about the Bill Lazor play calling, he's more patient with the run. True enough, there's a couple games where Montgomery only got 11 carries, but still broke over 100 yards rushing. And that's unacceptable in my opinion. I think he needs to get considerably more carries. But the offensive line doing what they've done up front, kind of finding this situation has been invaluable. I mean, it's really, really helped the Bears offense.
People, I look at Nagy and I look what he did his first year and how he developed Trubisky. Then Trubisky took a step back. He turned over the play call, and George is saying smartest thing he did. Was it just that he had too much on his plate? I mean, we see how valuable a coordinator could be. For example, Frank Reich made Carson Wentz. Now he's in Indianapolis, and Phillip Rivers, who can't even move, is not turning the ball over. Was it just because I look at Nagy and I think he's a great offensive mind? What happened when he turned over the play calling? Do you see? Was it just a new voice, or was it a totally different scheme?
No, it's not a different scheme. They're still running similar plays. They're running a lot of the same plays. But the difference is that Nagy was inexperienced as a play caller. I'm going to be honest with you. He did some play calling, a little bit of play calling in Kansas City, but it wasn't a lot. For the most part, somebody else was calling the plays. Now, he had some hands in there on that situation, but as far as game situations and things like that, he was fairly inexperienced. And then you have an inexperienced quarterback because Mitch came in and he only played one season of football at North Carolina. So, he had, 12 or 13 starts under his belt? He was fairly inexperienced as well. So when you combine those two things, you've got inexperienced leading and an inexperienced quarterback. And to me, it was just a recipe for disaster, which it ended up being. Now, the first year that he was there and Nagy was calling plays, you kind of get away with some things because teams don't really know what you're doing. But once these defensive coordinators who are smart minds, they start to plan for you and they start to kind of get you. They start to figure you out somewhat, and that's pretty much what happened.
Greg says too predictable. Was the offense too predictable when Nagy was calling it?
Absolutely. We had a situation where I knew the plays that were going to happen before, bring Cordero Patterson in, you're going to run this sweep. You know what I mean? If you got David Montgomery in there, you might run him the ball, but I mean, for the most part, he was getting maybe 6 to 12 carries a game, and that's it. And that's just it was too predictable. You're going to throw the ball. Mitch Trubisky is not that type of guy who's going to drop back and carve a team up with 55, 60 passes per game. That's not his game. So you start doing some things that he's able to do and that he's benefits from, then the offense takes off. It shoots off.
All right, let's talk about this defense. That's been their bread and butter. Obviously, they've been scoring over 30 points. I think anytime the Bears score 30 points with that defense well rested, they could really win a lot of games. Who's been for the casual fan who knows about Khalil Mack and a couple other players, who's been the unsung hero on this defense? And, Vic Fangio went to Denver. He's struggling now. What do you like about the defensive coordinator that you got now?
Well, I'm going to save my Pagano for the last, but two guys that are unsung heroes on this team. Number one being Roquan Smith. He just flies under the radar. He leads the league in tackles. He's got 17 tackles for losses this year, 4 sacks. He was left off the Pro Bowl team. Obviously, a lot of people don't know that he's as good as he is. He's as good as advertised. He was well worth the first round pick that we picked on him, and I think he's only going to get better in the future.
Can I make the argument, Daniel? Can I make the argument that a lot of people may not remember this because it was a long time ago, but the last few years of Lawrence Taylor, Carl Banks was a better linebacker. Can I make the argument that Roquan Smith is now a better linebacker than Khalil Mack, or is that crazy?
Because
he's been so valuable, Smith.
He's been so valuable, but it's just I'm not yet there. He's valuable because he racks up so many tackles. He's got like 126 or something like that. I mean, it's just game after game he does what he does. But a lot of it is conducive to the guys up in front of him because he's an undersized linebacker. Roquan is. He has to have guys up front that are able to contain the guards and those centers from being able to grab on him, right? So when you have that type of situation, I don't want to put him above Khalil Mack because Khalil Mack is a game changer in the fact that you really have to do some things. For Roquan to be Roquan, he needs other people to help him out in that regard.
Do you think he got snubbed with the lack of select? He didn't get selected. Do you think you think he deserved it?
Absolutely. His numbers were better than Fred Warner's, and they were better than Bobby Wagner's as well. I think he definitely deserved it. One other player that flies under the radar is Jalen Johnson. He's a rookie, but when he got hurt, I can see the difference in our secondary. Drastic difference. We gave up some things that we weren't giving up before. He has been an excellent addition to this defense, and he's only going to get better as well as a rookie.
All right, now talk about Pagano, your defensive coordinator. I thought they took a huge step back last year when Vic Fangio left. I think Vic Fangio, what he's doing in Denver is sort of like Wade Phillips. He's a great coordinator. I don't think he'll be a great head coach. Pagano struggles at times. Sometimes, you see plays and you're like, what was he thinking there? Are you disappointed with him? And do you want him to come back next year?
Well, I'm very disappointed in Pagano. His scheme and what he runs as a defensive coordinator. When you have the talent that we have on defense, you have the Kyle Fuller, you have the Eddie Jackson, you got the Roquan Smith, Khalil Mack. You have all these pieces that are really, really, really good players, borderline great players, right? You have all these pieces, but you're not aggressive on the defensive end. That's a problem that I have. We stand back, we wait, and we let people make mistakes instead of going and forcing the issue, being aggressive and forcing people into mistakes. That's what I think this defense needs to do instead of doing the bend but don't break. The bend but don't break defense gets you beat, and it gets you beat against good quarterbacks. Because when you bend and you bend and you bend and then you try to lock it down in 20 inside the 20, quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, quarterbacks like Tom Brady, quarterbacks that are really good quarterbacks, they make you pay in the red zone. And that's our problem.
I look at this defense, and I want this defense to be a lot like the Steelers. Athletic players putting pressure on the quarterback, being super aggressive. Mm-hmm. It's almost like he wants this defense to wait and then react.
Yep. And that's just not a recipe for good defense when it comes to Bears football. When you think about Bears, when you think about even Pagano back in the day, when he was with Baltimore, he was more aggressive. He was aggressive in his approach. Even with the Colts, he had blitz packages that really put fire under the quarterback. And that's something that we don't have. We don't have that situation. So I would really like for Pagano to change that up a little bit if he's gonna, finish out this year. Of course he is, but finishing out this year, I need him to change that up. And going forward into the future, I think we need to go in a different direction because he is not what's needed for this defense.
Yeah, listen, as a former coach, I was always aggressive on defense, always aggressive on offense. I was very successful because I was always like, look, let's put the pressure on them. Let them make a mistake. Let them think. And he doesn't do that. I agree with you. Okay, so let's say the Bears make the playoffs. Let's say the Bears go 9-7 and don't make the playoffs. I don't think they have enough on their unit to make a deep playoff run. So my question to you is, Bears make the playoffs, they lose in the first round. Do you bring back the coaching staff, and do you want Mitchell Trubisky as your quarterback? Because the way I see it, I think Stafford is on his way out. Okay, I would not be surprised if Detroit doesn't get a quarterback. I think the Vikings are stuck, and we've seen last year you can win playoff games with Kirk Cousins. If Trubisky comes back, Dan, every division game, you have the fourth best quarterback going into the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean that can be said right now. That can be said right now. I'm a believer in Mitch Trubisky's talent. I believe that Matt Nagy, as a coach, hindered him a little bit. He did not
really?
This young man develop. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And I'll explain why. Because I look at the entire team. There are several positional players and guys on the team that have been held back. David Montgomery, the guys on the offensive line. These are all solutions that we were screaming as a fan base for 3 months ago. We were screaming these things. And Matt Nagy, in my opinion, he became so self-consumed and he is a good offensive mind, but he started to believe his own self far more than the team. And he in turn ended up using that and saying, hey, I need to make myself right, regardless of what anybody else is saying. That's why these guys are just now getting their opportunities, like David Montgomery, Mustipher, Bars. These guys should have been in the game a long time ago playing.
So you're saying that Nagy waited too long to develop. It took too long to develop this team and play to their strengths. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I think he turned a blind eye to some of the things that were clearly evident. He turned a blind eye to it. He wanted to do things his way, and he got stuck in that mode, and that really hindered the entire team, not just Mitch Trubisky, but the entire team. That's just my thinking on it. Is Mitch Trubisky Pat Mahomes? Of course not. I'm not going to say he is, but he does have enough talent to be very good in a system that is conducive with his skill set. The same way that they did in Baltimore. They created an offense that was suitable for Lamar Jackson. Do the same thing instead of trying to force a guy into playing a certain way when he's clearly uncomfortable playing that way.
Yeah, you bring up something that I didn't think of. All of a sudden I was like, all right, maybe Trubinsky sitting down all those games when Foles came in, maybe he learned. But now we're talking about they changed. He stopped doing the play calling. Maybe this Bears team is succeeding despite the average coaching.
And that's what I've been saying. I think, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and just bang on Matt Nagy. As I said before, I believe I said it on your show before. I believe he's a good leader of men in the fact that he gets guys to buy in, right? He gets guys to buy in without complaining, because we don't hear a lot of that. We don't hear a lot of internal strife going on. Guys
even
in the
when they were
media,
losing, you didn't hear that at all, which is rare in the NFL.
Exactly. So I agree. I get that, and they stuck together as a team. So he's able to do that, and I think he does a wonderful job of that. There are some things that he's lacking in, and those things are, paying attention to what your team is doing, paying attention to who you have as on your roster, and being able to make those guys successful. That's what a coach does. You look at the talent that you have on your roster, and you figure out what ways can I make these guys successful and be with their talent, right, with their skill sets. And that's something that I don't think he did. He hasn't developed Anthony Miller. And I can just go on and on and on and on. Anthony Miller, David Montgomery, Mitch Trubisky, these guys on the offensive line. There's a lot of talent that Chicago Bears have, the Bears football team have, but they haven't blossomed. They haven't blossomed yet.
Okay, so my MVP is obviously Robinson, the wide receiver. And one of the things I had a problem with going into the season, especially if you're going to compete with the Packers and you don't have a stud quarterback, you have a serviceable quarterback but not an elite quarterback. How come they don't have a number 2 wide receiver consistent every week?
Well, because for whatever reason, Anthony Miller doesn't always line up in the right places, and he doesn't run his route correctly sometimes. But that's indicative of the coaching. If you have a guy who is he's clearly talented. Anthony Miller has a lot of talent going for him, but I don't know if it's the wide receivers coach that's not doing things that should be done, or if it's just Matt Nagy's system. I'll give you an example. Anthony Miller came out a couple weeks ago, and this is after they made the switch back to Trubisky, and he had an awesome practice, right? In a press conference, he actually said, I wish we would call the plays on Sunday that we call in practice.
That is terrible when a player says that, because he feels so comfortable. I'll give you an example to add to your point. Last year, now Adam Gase is going to be fired from the Jets, but last year, after they had their started the season 1-5 or whatever, Darno went to Gase and said, we're running 80 plays during the game. We're only comfortable with 45 of these. Let's break it down. And they broke it down and they started to score. So if he's saying, hey, man, why can't we carry what we do in practice into the game? Sometimes the coach is overthinking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And when I heard him say that, I thought to myself, the Bears defense is good. So if they're running these plays in practice against this defense, and they're able to do some things, why are we having such a big problem? Why are we having this huge of a problem? I mean, we had 149 yards one game. We had 106 yards passing one game. This is game after game after game. One game we didn't score a touchdown at all. I think we went about 7 quarters at one point in the season without having an offensive score, field goal or touchdown. I mean, those things were just unbelievable, right? So for that to be happening, it's indicative of what the coaching is doing. And like I said, Matt Nagy, I believe, was so consumed with, I'm this guy, I'm this genius on the football field. I got to make this stuff work, right? And so he ended up, I don't want to say sabotaging, but he ended up almost sabotaging the football season based on him trying to be who he thought he was.
By the way, I did mention the Jets, so this is our full Monte bingo drinking game. So those are drinking home, feel free to take a shot, because like I said, I did mention the New York Jets. And listen, we have about 3 minutes left here talking with Daniel Goodwin on the Full Monty Sports Show live on YouTube. Going to bring on Ariana Prasad in a few minutes. Is it true that former field goal kicker Parkey with the Cleveland Browns. Every time he misses a field goal, another female in Chicago gives birth to a baby boy. Is this true? Because I can't tell you on social media when Parky misses a field goal how everyone texts me or tweets me, this is why we let him go. Why don't people just forget about Parky? I think they got over Scott Norwood in Buffalo quicker than people got over Parky.
Well, I mean, the problem with Parky was that we all knew that what was going to happen before it happened, right? So when that happened, and I don't know if another baby gets born every single time he misses a field goal, because he's missed plenty, but every time he hits the upright, I believe that a baby is probably born at that point.
People go crazy about Parky. All right, last couple of questions here. Who is your offensive MVP? Who is your defensive MVP for the Bears?
Offensive MVP is going to be Allen Robinson. I mean, Allen Robinson, we've had some issues with him this year. I haven't been happy with some of the things that he's done, but you can't deny his talent. You can't deny that he's a good player.
He's a legitimate number one wide receiver, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
If he stays focused, right? There's been some times in this season where he's lost his train of focus and kind of focused on some other things, and that's hindered him. The one game where he ran out of bounds before crossing the first down marker was unbelievable in my opinion, but that's a lack of focus once again. And once again, it's indicative of the coach, because we've had several situations, and I go back to Nagy. I'm sorry, but I have to go back to him because, when you have a football team that's playing bad in situational football, I look at the coach and he's killed drives. He's called timeouts at the most inopportune time. He's killed drives with bad
management
football.
Sometimes is god awful.
Exactly. So when your coach is not playing football or calling the game according to situational football, it's hard for you to expect your players to do so as well. You know what I mean? But Allen Robinson is my MVP. Defensive MVP, I'm going to have to go with Roquan Smith because he's just been so consistent.
Yeah, no, those are great picks. So, all right, you play the Jacksonville Jaguars today. In a perfect scenario, the Jags win, and my Jets will get Trevor Lawrence, but that's not happening. So I guess I have this argument with my friend Andrea all the time. She's a diehard Chicago Bears fan. You got to root for the Packers to win tonight, because if they do, they have nothing to play for next week. Yeah. Is that hard to do?
It's definitely hard to do. We were talking about that before on my podcast. We talked about that same situation where we were actually looking for Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay to win this. Detroit and Minnesota, they dropped the ball, of course, and now we're looking for Green Bay to win. But you know what? Just because I am who I am, I want Green Bay to lose. I want them to lose because I want to go into next week with the need to beat Green Bay at full strength, and we do it and we pull it out. That's what I want to happen.
I was on the third and two pod this week with Jay Andrews and Brandon Jackson, and I was like, "Look, win this week, and then you sit your." And Jay was like, "You don't sit your players. It's Green Bay. It's Chicago." I'm like, "Stop playing chess. Play checkers. Think 2 moves ahead. If the Packers win tonight, I play Aaron Rodgers for a half, and that's it."
No, that's not going to happen. Aaron Rodgers is not going to let that happen. He's the Chicago killer. That's what he likes to do. He laughs and has a good time. He wants to go in there and he wants to rip our house out. I know that to be the fact. I don't expect them to sit Aaron Rodgers. Even if they did win tonight, I don't expect them to sit. Because, if you look back in time, you remember we did that with you guys, right? When Levy was there, we rested our players, let y'all in the playoffs, and you went on to win the Super Bowl. We still feel like that should have been our Super Bowl.
All right. I get it. Listen, if I'm the Packers and we win tonight, I say, Aaron Rodgers, you're playing a half. That's it. I'm the coach. You don't like it, don't come to the stadium. I'm not risking an injury. It's got to be about long-term. All right, Dan, how can we follow you? How can we support your career? Love having you on. I hope the Bears make the playoffs so we can talk to you again during the season. Obviously, we'll have you on after the season. But how can we follow and support you?
Well, of course, you can follow my screen name there is at Dan Goodwin III on Twitter. Follow me there. And then also we have a podcast that I do as well. It's called Three Kings Podcast with 2 of my other guys. And we have a good time, man. We talk real football, and we're not into the the foolishness, the so-called fandom that you have. We're gonna give you to you straight. We're gonna talk to you real. So follow us, check it out, and if you can, like and subscribe to it.
Dan, do me a favor. Next time you do the show, put it on my page. I always tell you that every week. Every time you come on, you never do it. Put it on my page so my fans. I'll send it to my friend Andrea, who's a huge diehard Chicago Bears fan, so she can listen to it as well. All right, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, great job, man. As always, great job. That was Dan Goodman. Look, he does a tremendous job of covering the Bears. Obviously, keeps it real. And now we're going to bring on another one of our favorite guests, Ariana Prasad. How are you today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you. I'm doing great. I just have to, tell everyone, you posted, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen, a song, Walking in Russell Wilson Wonderland. Talk to us how this came about. And more importantly, you sung it without any music. Was this a one-take deal? How many times did you take on this recording?
Gosh. I took several times, to be honest with you. I did it on TikTok, so I got to film like 4 short segments. But
right.
I was filming other stuff for work, and I was just having fun. I wrote like a little fantasy poem this week because I cover fantasy, so I was having a little bit of fun in the Christmas spirit. And then I just thought, I love that song, Walking in a Winter Wonderland. So I thought, Walking in a Wilson Wonderland. And I thought, this is so funny. So I went and actually looked up the original lyrics, and I changed all the words so it could go with the rhythm and everything. So there's a part, and it says, because it's gone away with the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird, but it was gone away is a Z-bird, like Arizona, the Cardinals. Here to stay is the Seabird, the Seahawks. So I had a lot of fun with it.
And you have a great voice, but did you think about incorporating music into the background? Because you did it with no music.
I did. Honestly, I spent like an hour on the video, so I was thinking of adding the lyrics and the music and syncing it up because you can't do that on the app. But I just thought, you know what? Let me just share it. Let's go. Just having fun. So maybe
great. I recommend everyone to go to her Twitter page and check it out. It was very entertaining. All right. The Seahawks are 10-4 in their driver's seat. They've had a ton of injuries. They've made a ton of changes. And here's what I don't like about the national media. Everyone talks about Bill Belichick making adjustments, getting better in the second half of the season. I'm almost saying right now that Pete Carroll, the first 8 games, that defense, it's proven it was historically bad. They went out and got Carlos Dunlap. They went out and got Jamal Adams, but they were without their running backs. I know a lot has to do with Russell Wilson, but is Pete Carroll underrated here? Because he doesn't get the national credit he deserves.
Pete Carroll is definitely underrated. I think if we're talking about best coaches in the NFL, the stability we've seen from both of these organizations, Pete Carroll's been there. It's been 10 years. And that speaks volumes, and the team that he's built, obviously, with Schottenheimer. So he is an amazing coach. And yeah, he's definitely underrated. I actually saw a stat. I don't know if you've heard scoregami in the NFL, but it's this idea of keeping all the unique scores that could happen in an NFL game. And Pete Carroll actually has the most. So I think that that's very interesting. It just shows like the versatility in play calling, and the things that his defense is able to do.
I think one of the biggest thing, we talked about this when you came on in preseason, let Russ cook, because I looked at Schottenheimer like run, and then let Russell Wilson do something on third down. But they've opened up the offense this year.
Right.
Hey, listen, I'll take the interceptions. He has 37 touchdowns. Russell Wilson has been phenomenal. But the entire coaching staff has evolved, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And it's been interesting. You mentioned the defense in the first half. It almost feels in the second half as if it's flip-flopped a little bit. So we saw Russ cooking, and the defense was letting a lot of things through. Now our defense is much stronger, but we haven't seen the same sort of play from Wilson, and I feel like it is getting there. The past few weeks have been much better, but we have seen more interceptions. But yeah, I feel like this offense is so open. It's just bombs to David Moore, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and it feels open, but we're still using a lot of the run game. In the past few games, Chris Carson's getting over 100 yards in the game. So that says a lot. You still have a significant run game. And really the key, I think, in the NFL and what people praise Belichick for is versatility. So Pete Carroll is demonstrating, I have that too. So
George Lopez is still depressed that Pete Carroll left USC. George, you got to get over that. It's been quite a while. All right, let's talk about this defense. particularly, like I said, Carlos Dunlap, Jamal Adams. Over the past 5 games, the Seahawks are #1 in sacks. They gave up 21, 17, 17, 3, and 15 points. I think Jamal Adams is Defensive Player of the Year. They're lining the safety up as defensive end and linebacker. Again, another guy, because maybe it's Seattle. Everyone's talking about TJ Watt. People are talking about Aaron Donald, and rightly so. But to me, Jamal Adams has turned this defense around.
Definitely. I mean, to put it simply, he's a game changer. Because when he came in initially before the addition of Dunlap, really Seattle needed that pass rush. And the versatility of Adams made such a huge difference. Now, I saw this funny meme, an NFL meme, about all Jamal wants for Christmas is an interception. So he hasn't been paying back much, right, as a strong safety and getting those interceptions. But what he's been able to do really as a pass rusher is incredible. And I want to bring up another amazing stat that I just came across. But he is he just broke an NFL record. He's the first defensive back to get 20 sacks before turning 26.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's...
Listen, the Jets used him last year more times at linebacker than they did safety. So I'm not really concerned with his interception, so to speak, because to be honest, he's making plays all over the field. So, and that's an incredible stat. Look, let's talk about the big three, okay? Russell Wilson, 37 touchdown passes, 3,800 yards. Metcalf, 74 catches. Tyler Lockett, 85 catches. Can we say this is the best big three, meaning quarterback and 2 wide receivers in the NFL?
I think so. I mean, just looking at their stats and everything, and if you have any of these guys in fantasy, you know that they're the top trio. I guess I would say another, fantastic trio really would be like, Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill. They're great. But, these three, as far as like 2 wide receivers and a quarterback, I do feel like the Seahawks have the strongest. And it's because like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett excel at different things, and they're so good at that. So I feel like DK is this explosive player, built like an Olympian. He's incredible. He's got 1,200 yards.
Yes.
He's an incredible player. But you have Tyler Lockett, and I know I've mentioned this before in your show, but that secure catch rate that he had last year, and he's continuing that. He's such a secure receiver, fantastic at running routes. So if you have both of these guys, what can you not do, basically?
Exactly.
You can do everything. So, and then you have obviously Russell Wilson, his ability to escape the pocket and make plays happen. So, I mean, that's what we've seen this season. We've seen these high scores, and we clinch a playoff spot. So, it's because of this trio. Big part of it.
I mean, I'm talking the only other, and again, you said it, Travis Kelce's a tight end, but when you look at 2 wide receivers and a quarterback, the only one that comes close is in Buffalo. Stephon Diggs is #1 in receptions. Cole Beasley, who Jerry Jones says we can't find a position for him, has 80 catches on the year, and Josh Allen is in the hunt for MVP. Let's talk about this running game. He hasn't been healthy, but Chris Carson is averaging 4.98 yards per game. When Penny comes back and is fully healthy, this can be a 150-yard rushing attack with Wilson and their running backs and 300 passing yards. How important is Chris Carson to this running game?
He is incredibly important, and obviously he's been hurt this season, and it's been interesting to see that Seattle's gotten by. They made a great offseason addition with Carlos Hyde. That was very smart of them because he came clutch in this season. But then actually they have more depth. They have Travis Homer, who's they even employed last season when he was a rookie, and they have DJ Dallas, who's also a rookie. So I think people see the draft and they say, why is Seattle taking another running back? But, as we saw, we employed Marshawn Lynch last year in the postseason. So it's important, your running backs get hurt. They have such a brutal job. They retire very early. So it's always good to have depth at running back. And Seattle is very smart in always employing a committee. Now, it's not great for fantasy managers, but it's great for the player health. So, but, Carson's come back in full force, as you mentioned, getting over 4 yards per carry. So he's a fantastic guy, just able to burrow through, get through that defensive line and make touchdowns. Yeah.
I look at and when I was, looking at having you on the show and looking up stats, I see that Greg Olsen has 23 catches. Holster has 22. Disley has 20. So combined, they have almost 70 catches. So my first question to you was, are you a little upset that they don't have a dominant tight end? But it's kind of like the running back by committee. Their tight ends are very involved. It's just for fantasy and there's not an elite tight end, but their tight ends are very involved in the offense.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know in the offseason that was something that I was excited about, to see potentially this, tight end tandem as a part of the passing attack. You would have Olsen and Disley, because we've seen Disley's obviously very talented, and we know how talented Olsen is. And Olsen being a veteran, I wanted him to come to Seattle and get rejuvenated. And and we haven't seen that happen in a very explosive way. Like, the receivers have gotten these incredible yards, but they have been involved. And I am happy to see Hollister get a bit involved too, actually. I wasn't sure how involved he would be. So, I'm happy to see all of them get involved, but I would love to see more. Maybe it's something we'll see in the playoffs. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, listen, we're going to talk about this now, and George brings up a great point. Aaron Donald has 13 sacks in 13 games against Wilson. Listen, the Rams can't beat the 49ers. They have their number. George brings up a great point here. Why do you think McVay seems to have Seattle's defense figured it out? Rams seem to match up. Break this game down. They lost in Week 10, 23-16. Give us a few keys to this game.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I've actually been thinking, I think the Rams are honestly the most competitive opponent that they are going to have this season. We saw that in their last game. But this Rams team is very strong, and I've obviously wanted the Seahawks to go to the playoffs, but if anyone's going to run them out of that spot, it's the Rams. But yeah, Aaron Donald, dominant. He makes the case for Defensive Player of the Year every year, just able to break through and even, chase down Wilson. He's able to do that. If this is what Wilson's able to do, is to get out of the pocket and scramble, Donald's got you. So unfortunately, I could see the Rams easily winning this game.
They're usually pretty competitive. Like I said, it was 23-16. Yeah. So are you not confident today?
I'm uneasy. I want the Seahawks to win, but if I'm going to be honest, this Rams team is strong. This defense is strong. And then, Goff has been able to get it. Like, he's been, doing well this season and getting it to his receivers. So, and then you have Cam Akers as well. So, I just feel like this team overall is pretty strong. If anyone is going to run out the Seahawks out of at least getting that division, well, it's going to be the Rams. So I can see that happening, but I don't want to.
I'm just going to be fully honest with you. I grew up a Jet fan, and my only goal after Week 3 was to get Trevor Lawrence. So when the Rams lost last week, I have cursed that franchise forever, because the Jets beat them, and now the Jets are not going to get Trevor Lawrence. So I do not want – I don't only want the Seattle Seahawks to beat them. I want them to beat them by 40. I want the Rams to cry as they walk off the field. You're saying that's not going to happen today?
I'm not – I would be surprised if that happened. I would love it, but I would be surprised, because I just feel like, I do feel like I'm happy that Seattle's coming together. I feel like their defense is so much stronger, more competitive, and I would love to see, we've seen it the past 2 weeks, but Russell be more explosive like he was in the earlier half of the season. And if that can happen, Seattle will crush them. So.
Okay, so you obviously the Seattle's going to make the playoffs. I think with their defense now, this team is super dangerous, and they could be a Super Bowl team. Am I overhyping them, or do you agree with that assessment?
I don't think you're overhyping. As I said, I feel like things have flipped a little bit, but if we get the first half of the season offense and the second half of the season defense, this is definitely a competitive Super Bowl team.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
You can only take one wide receiver, and we're going to bring in Rico Show Me the Money Graziano, because he is our fantasy football expert. Ariana, Rico, Ariana. Ariana, if you could only take one wide receiver for one game, are you taking DK Metcalf, or are you taking Tyler Lockett?
I don't know. I would take Metcalf, because I feel Lockett's had these crazy explosive games. He had like a 45-point game, but then he's had games with very little. So I just feel like DK has had, more target share and just bigger games.
Rico, who are you taking there?
No, I agree with her. I'll take DK just because overall you go with the volume and the numbers, and DK has put up. He's only had like 3 weeks where he's had like single digits. You know what I'm saying? So everything's double digits throughout the year. And that 1 week he would have had double digits, but the ball got knocked out right before he went in the end zone. Which every time I watch him play, I'm like, if I was Pete Carroll, I would just not throw him the ball again, just because of that alone.
That was terrible. When DK was about to score a touchdown, walking in, kind of showboating it. And the last thing I'll ask you, Ariana, before we let you go, is how long do you think Pete Carroll, we talk about Bill Belichick every year. How long do you think Pete Carroll is going to be in Seattle? He's not going to get fired. I mean, he's one of the oldest coaches in the NFL, but he acts like he's 45. He has so much energy. The city of Seattle absolutely loves him, right? He can do no wrong. How long do you see him coaching for?
I don't know. He seems spry. I guess when he starts to tucker out a little bit and, not running on the sidelines chewing his gum anymore, then I guess he'll call it quits. But as long as he wants to be there, people will have him. Maybe at least 5 more years, I would hope. 75, though. I mean, that's old.
Spry, great terminology.
Spry.
Rika, when was the last time someone called you spry? When you were 14?
I'm still hoping. I'm hoping somebody calls me spry. I'll wait the rest of my life and may never hear it again.
I have a feeling it's going to be. I have no faith in the Saints. They won. Yes. Look, he scored 6 touchdowns, Alvin Kamara. But if you watch Drew Brees in that game, he is still struggling with his arm, and he can't throw the ball 40 yards down the field. We've seen the Saints falter in the playoffs. Seattle was 7-9 a few years ago, and they beat them. So I'm looking at the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks in the finals, and I'm going to take the Colts or the Titans and the Chiefs in the AFC finals. Ariana, give us your NFC final prediction for the NFC Championship.
Oh, for the NFC Championship? I can see the Packers and the Seahawks. Maybe if the Bucks get it together and are more stable like we've seen the past 2 games, but besides that, I would say the Packers and the Seahawks.
It's funny because everyone was talking yesterday, and Rico, you could attest to it. Everyone was talking yesterday, oh, how great the Bucks are. They played Detroit, who literally packed it in 3 weeks ago. Detroit
didn't have a coach. Didn't even have a coach on the sideline. Were you coaching?
Yeah.
When you beat Detroit by 30, 40 points, you're supposed to. It's like the Jets. Although people are killing me because I'll never forgive the Rams. Ariana, how can we follow you and support your career on social media? And thank you so much for joining us. We'll definitely have you on when Seattle plays in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. But you can go ahead. This is my Twitter handle right here. I'm on Instagram. I have a Facebook page. So I just started a TikTok for that video, if you saw it earlier. So, but I'm the same everywhere, Yana Prasad. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And listen, like I said at the opening, I recommend everyone to go to her page and watch the Russell Wilson Wonderland video. The song, it's tremendous. She had all the holiday background up there, so it looked great. So thank you so much for taking the time out. I know it's early where you are. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a great day. That was Ariana Prasad. If you like the Seahawks, she does a tremendous job. Rico, what do you think of my floating Oregon Duck helmet?
I'm hypnotized by it. I can't stop staring at it.
I got this windbreaker too. These guys at work gave it to me.
It spins perfectly at the same consistency. It's not changing. That's how
awesome,
I know.
Right?
It's great. I love it. I want one. I love. Except I don't want Oregon. I love the way it just whatchamacallit. Now I can tell if you ever have a glitch because it spins so perfectly that if you have a Wi-Fi glitch, I'll see it.
Rico, people are saying that your background is so elegant.
Well, I'm in Studio B, the bedroom, Studio B.
And what is that sweatshirt you're wearing? Can you show people what that is?
Yeah, of course. If you don't know when you see the Berg, it's my Steeler sweat. It's my Steeler jacket. It's a little chilly out here. It's like 55 degrees out in LA. Was that a Christmas present? No, I had this. I got some Steeler merch.
All right, Rico, let's get your Steeler background up here because we're going to talk about them in a few minutes. All right, let's get right to it, Rico. Who is your NFL MVP? I'm saying Aaron Rodgers. We talked about this on the 3rd and 2 pod. I think it's Aaron Rodgers because let's be honest, Rico. Let's be honest. If Aaron Rodgers wasn't with the Green Bay Packers, they'd win 6 games. If Patrick Mahomes wasn't with Kansas City, they'd still be competitive.
Everybody on that show, 3rd and 2, said the same thing. Oh, Aaron Rodgers. If he wasn't there, what you're saying is that that's not a good team, and the only reason that they're there is because of Aaron Rodgers, which means that they shouldn't be as good as they are and go as far in the playoffs as they are because you need a whole team It isn't about one player. And I think you could make the same statement with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, do the numbers. I'm looking at him right now. He's first in yards, 4,462. He's got 36 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger threw 3 in one game. You know, I mean, he's passer rating second in the league. You know, so to me, stats and number wise,
you're taking Patrick Mahomes. You're not giving Aaron Rodgers any credit at all.
I think Rodgers is a tight second, and honestly, he may even win it purely because they know that Pat Mahomes is going to the Super Bowl and has a shot at getting MVP again in the Super Bowl. So that's the only reason I think that he'll be voted by the voters if he does win. It won't be a stats thing.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a serious question here, and don't be swayed by the 6 touchdowns from Saturday.
I think it was 5. It was 5, wasn't it?
No, he tied at 6 at the end, didn't he?
Oh, he did.
Yes, he tied the record for 6. He could have had 7, but they put in Taysom Hill on a 3rd and 1, and they gave it to Taysom Hill. So he could have had 7 and broke the record. So you have one game in the playoffs. Who are you taking, Derrick Henry or Alvin Kamara?
You know, I want to say Kamara because I have him on my fantasy teams. I have him on 2 of them that are in a final championship, which he pretty much already won. And I bowed to him because he literally won. He won me a lot of money. It's going to take a big stretch, but I would take Derrick Henry because Derrick Henry is the guy to go with.
Really? I'm surprised. I thought you were going with Kamara there.
Well, if you look at the numbers throughout the year, Derrick Henry has a few 30, 40 point games, 220 yards with 3 touchdowns throughout the seasons. Kamara, again, I got an 86% chance of winning in 2 of my leagues because of him. So
you're taking Derrick Henry.
I love what he did for me this week, but there's been some weeks where I've had to scratch my head, and he shares time with Latavius Murray. There's a lot of issues.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
Latavius Murray, Levi says it's best. He's a vulture. He's
just getting the scraps that Kamara leaves. I
love the word vulture because that's what he is.
All right, Rico, we got into a big argument on the podcast this week. If you're taking one wide receiver going into the season, everyone thought it would be Julio Jones. He signed that big contract last year, but he's been hurt all year. Calvin Ridley and Gage have had better seasons than Julio Jones. But if you're going into one game, are you taking Devontae Adams or are you taking DeAndre Hopkins?
You know, I have Hopkins on my fantasy team, and he kind of dudded out yesterday. But I would take Devontae Adams either way, just because he's got hands. His hands are like glue. You know, and he gets his pass. He doesn't rely on the 50-50 pass as much as DeAndre Hopkins, and that means that the quarterback throws the ball, and it's a 50-50 shot. Who gets it? Usually the receiver gets it, but I would go with Adams because it seems like a lot of times when he's open, when he catches the ball, he's wide open. It's not one of those, Devontae Adams makes these magical catches where the guy is right here. When it comes down to Devontae Adams, it just seems like he's by himself when he catches the ball.
He's a great route runner. Like you said, it's a lot like Michael Thomas last year, where Michael Thomas, you're like, how is this guy always open? How is Devontae Adams always open? That's a very, very articulate point. Okay, let's move to your specialty. You are 11-4 on the year, winning people a lot of money. I'm going to save your Steeler game for last, but this Bills game is not going to be as easy as people think. Josh Allen has been terrible against the Patriots. Terrible. And the spread here is 7. I got to assume that it's because Cam Newton is playing himself out of the NFL. Bills by 7 against the Patriots. Break this game down.
When you break this game down, the Bills are on fire. They're heading into the playoffs. Their defense needs to make a statement, just like Tampa Bay's defense did yesterday, which I had them in my fantasy league. It's about time. I think the Bills need to just show the Patriots and give them a knockout for 11 years of just getting beaten down. For 11 years, they've beaten them down. I think
Tom Brady was like 28-3 against the Bills at one point. Like he just owned them. Yeah,
the whole division. Everybody in that division is 28-3. They never lost. It was a free play. It was literally being in a division with the 3 worst teams, and you were the best team in the NFL. I would say Buffalo covers easily, and I think it'll be a beatdown and a good old-fashioned beatdown. I think their defense is not going to let them score. I think Josh Allen's going to come out and just run all over the place. They'll probably be a little bit more conservative and throw more. Run more. I'm sorry, and run more run more than usual to get their run game going because they do have a stagnant run game. But at the end of the day, do they really need the run game at the moment? You do need it, but at this game, do they particularly need it? No. Is this the game that they'll use it? Yes. Will they cover the 7? I believe so. That's where my money is. But you know what? You ask a lot of people. A majority of people believe that they'll cover this spread. But I'm going to go with the group on this one.
All right. At the end of the day, there you go.
I did say at the end of the day. I usually go against the crowd on certain games.
You're going with them here.
But this one I'm going with them because I think they'll cover the 7 easily because it's going to be a beatdown.
I brought this up earlier with Ariana, and I'm talking here with Rico Graziano here on the Full Monty Sports Show live on YouTube. I said, look, for my quarterback and 2 wide receivers, it's Seattle. Those are the best 3. But you got to give Cole Beasley credit and Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs going into this week was number 1 in reception, and Cole Beasley has 80 receptions. Rico, can we say this is the second best receiving core in the NFL?
To say second would mean I really love their the way they use them too. I mean, Cole Beasley, you've been on him. I gotta say, you've been on him since day one. I'll give it to you. This isn't one of those you jumped on the bandwagon type of thing. You've been on Cole Beasley since the beginning. And I mean, talk about the quietest 80 catches in the NFL I've ever seen. I mean, they're great. It goes to show you, how strong. The Diggs trade worked out great for both teams. Both teams have worked out great, and and yes, can I say they're the second best? Yes, without a doubt. So
my friend just texted me, Rico. What's going to come first, the New Year's Eve, or the $200 gift card that you're supposed to be sending me in the mail? What's coming first, Rico?
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting to send that. I keep forgetting. Weren't we supposed to do a fantasy for the playoffs too? Or
no,
something?
We were not supposed. No, I let you trick me into that last year. I am not doing that this year. I said, I told my friend, I said, it's either Venmo or a gift card. What's coming first, New Year's Eve or the gift card?
You have a Venmo account? All right, let me look. I gotta check my Venmo account. I will, because I haven't fully. I've conceded, but yet not fully embraced to concede.
Rico, so are we just going to call you the lame duck president who refuses to concede? There's you lost.
But I just want. How many fantasy leagues you got going right now?
I'm in 4 fantasy leagues. I'm in the finals of 2 of them, and I'm in the money in the 3rd one. I'm in the finals of Nuts and Bolts Sports. I'm in the finals of Ramapo College, the guys I used to coach. I'm in the finals, and I'm battling for 3rd place. I had Kamar 3rd place, which is $300, but I also had Kyler Murray yesterday, so that kind of hurt me.
Well, he didn't crush you. I mean, he got some points.
Yeah, that was terrible. All right, so I'll send you my Venmo information, and maybe you'll get here before.
Send me a Venmo request. I'll check it out. I don't check my emails all the time.
All right, Rico, look, I've been saying this for 4 weeks. The Steelers are not a good football team. They have a very good defense. Their offense is terrible. Now, what I like about this matchup against the Colts is that you're going against a guy who cannot move in Phillip Rivers, and they should be able to put pressure on them. First of all, is this a must game for the Steelers just for confidence purposes? Because they are on a downward climb to be nice.
Well, they are playing. Their offense is playing terrible, and when it comes to their, Deontay Johnson, just his hands. I don't know. We don't know what it is. He's just got to remember he's got to catch the ball. That's it. Don't worry about
Is he in trouble of being benched? Because I know the head coach, Mike Tomlin, said if these guys don't start catching the ball in the games, we're going to find someone who will.
I don't think we have to worry about that with him. He's our number 1 receiver. I think we're in the playoffs. We have to get his confidence back. He's just got to remember that's his job. Catch the ball. That's what he does for a living. That's what he does. His paycheck. He feeds his kids by catching the ball. So he's just got to remember he's got to catch the ball. He's not being paid to run with the ball. He's being paid to catch the ball. So that's what he just needs to remember what he needs to do. And you know what? I look at it's great what they said about George Kittle. yesterday. They said half of George Kittle is better than most tight ends.
Yeah.
Yesterday, George Kittle put up 13 points. Pittsburgh's defense has been decimated by injuries, and I think a half of Pittsburgh defense is still better than most defenses out there right now. So I think you're right about with getting to Phillip Rivers. And Phillip Rivers loves throwing interceptions somewhere along the way.
He's been Rico. He's been very good this year. Frank Reich has totally made him a game manager. Jonathan Taylor, the rookie out of Wisconsin, was in the doghouse the first couple of games of the season. Now he's playing well. This is a game that the Steelers can not only lose but get embarrassed.
Well, I see. This is the thing. I mean, and again, talking about going with the crowd of who I was going to pick. Like, it seems like such an easy pick. Like, what the spread is a pick 'em at right now. It became a pick 'em. So it's a coin toss, right? So anybody who's watched football the last 4 weeks will say they're going to blow Pittsburgh out. It should be the easiest pick of the week. There should be no conversation about this, that they're going to beat Pittsburgh. But the fact that it's a pick really makes it interesting because as a bettor, I'm taking Pittsburgh. As a fan, I'm taking Pittsburgh. So when I say that as a bettor, there's times during the year where I always take Pittsburgh. But I would say I wouldn't take Pittsburgh as a bettor in this situation. I wouldn't bet the game. But this game, there's just something, and you're right. It must be that Phillip Rivers just sits in the pocket, and he's going to have to move, and he's not a moving quarterback. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm putting my money on Pittsburgh, and yeah, Juju not dancing on the opposing team's logo is not a great thing either.
Rico, how do you feel about that? I know you love Juju, you love him, and I think Claypool will have a very good game today. But were you upset with that? How did the Steeler fans react to that?
Well, I think last week against the Bengals, he got hammered. He got hit a few times really hard. More, I mean, I feel like the referees aren't too happy about it either because he got a helmet-to-helmet. Guy's head was clearly down. He fumbled the ball, which every player in the NFL who would have got a helmet-to-helmet, and the referees didn't throw a flag. Like, I feel like everybody's against him with doing this. And, you got to remember, he's like 22 years old. Like, he's still a little kid playing video games and, dancing on the opposing team's logo.
For those of you who don't know,
he won't be doing that this week.
For those of you who don't know, Juju Smith-Schuster, the young wide receiver before the Cincinnati Bengal game, I think he posted like a TikTok video or something where he was dancing on the totally disrespecting the Bengals. The Bengals went in and beat the Steelers, had no reason to beat them other than they hate them. So a lot of people were on Juju Smith-Schuster for not doing that. Listen, he's young. I know that Juju Smith does a lot in the community to help people. Let's just say it was an immature move. He's learned, and he moved. And I could keep the camera on me all day because I am loaded with Oregon Duck stuff. I mean, this is like a paradise for me. I got the Oregon Duck mug there. Got the Oregon Duck mug here. I got the Oregon Duck helmet and the windbreaker. That's all I got to say, Rico.
I got to tell you, your background, it feels a little green and yellow to me, but I'm not going to, I'm not one of those,
Packer green and yellow.
I know the Packers. Yeah, I love how the Packers, the Jets, you really love the color green. You're a very earthly person.
Why do you bring up the Jets? Why do you
because it's a trigger word.
I'm going to tell you right now. For those of you who don't know, George Lopez includes us in like group chats about the games, sports. We go back and forth. I don't even want to talk to George Lopez anymore. That's how mad I am about the Rams because I feel some way he's responsible and he did this to me. Is that wrong for thinking that?
No, I agree with you. I think George Lopez totally switched that game around and put it in. He was like how I felt about the Bengals. It was an easy win, a no look win, and then cut to here we are picking probably an offensive lineman for Sam Darnold instead of one of the best quarterback prospects in years.
Rico, my dad getting involved. Are you going with the beard?
I kind of like it. I keep it trimmed. I keep it tight. I don't go too hard.
You have a buzzer that you use?
My father, an everyday shaver, I think, isn't he? He always keeps it tight.
Yeah. So you do a little buzzer with it, right?
Yeah. I hit the little buzzer. You got to keep it. You got to change it up. It's pandemic. I got to figure something out.
How does
barbershops are closed down again over here? We're back down to square one. All of Los Angeles is, George knows. Actually, George Lopez is my number one. I get alerts from our text string with George before they come out on my fantasy football or the NFL alerts that I have on my phone. So George, I get them quicker from George. They're better. I'll text somebody, can you believe that? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you'll see. George is
Rico. He's
great
a great source of information. Finally, before we get to your rant, can you talk about your experience you had in Florida and how the rules of COVID don't exist in Florida?
I got to tell you, I am still in shock and awe that Florida has not crumbled. The fact that who knows, maybe they're doing it right. I do not know.
17,000 cases over the last 2 days of COVID in Florida, Rico.
Yeah, well, we've been shut down. We 17,000. You said.
Yes.
Well, that's not surprising. I mean, they're very. Everybody's got a mask, but they're very lax. I mean, stores are open, inside dining open, barbershops open. Which, you know what? I guess some state had to do the experiment to see how it would go. You know, and
you and Levi were shocked, right? At like what's going on?
Somebody we were with wanted to go eat inside, and me and Levi were like, I don't know. They were like, what's the matter, guys? And we were like, I don't know. We ate inside the one day. We felt weird. We went for a corona test 2 days later. We left the restaurant. We looked at each other, and he was like, that was weird. I was like, I'm terrified. He's like,
you want to just bathe in like alcohol and like fumigate yourself?
We both went home. We showered. We cleaned our clothes, and then we waited a day, and then we still took which the one thing is that it's good is that down there it seemed to be easy to make a phone call and have a guy drive to the house, like a FDA approved corona test. We had to pay money, but the guy came, swabbed us, and we found out within 12 hours if we were good or not.
Rico, that's a scam. It's not some FDA guy. It's just some guy, trying to make extra money.
Well, his test, luckily enough, was right with me. But it was very weird. But I had an awesome time down there. I'm not gonna lie. Miami was great. It felt good to be a little close to like feeling, back in the world. We live up here. You can't go anywhere or do anything anymore.
Did you fly on a private jet?
Well, I had a friend of mine. Yes, he got me a jet from, we took a jet from, because it's hard to believe that I did it, which was really great. We took a jet from Miami to Denver to LA. So on the way to Denver to LA, he got stuck in a business meeting that he couldn't leave, but the jet was already booked. So I can't believe I didn't take a picture of it. The jet flew me by myself from Denver to LA by myself. Matter of fact, the pilot came in. He had a mask on. We talked for a few minutes. He was far away from me. He goes, I'm going to shut the cockpit so you don't have to worry. So I pretty much took the safest possible flight you could probably take from Denver to LA, which was by myself in a jet, because I told my friend, I'll wait for you. And he said, no, I'm going to head back to Miami in a few days. So I was very fortunate to live in that type of I seen how the other side lived, Monte. It's nice.
Rico, you are the other side. And that's you are the other side. It's so funny because Rico's flying on private jets. Rico's traveling all over the world. And yet it takes me 6 months to get $200 off the bet. So I don't understand. Rico, did you have movies? Did you have video games? What was the why didn't you take pictures?
Yeah, I didn't take pictures, but you know what? Actually, that's the one thing about it. Like, if it wasn't for a pandemic, this was a smaller plane than most. I mean, we took a gangster one from New Jersey to Miami. That was like a G4 or whatever. Like, it was really nice, comfortable seats, but they don't have, you need to bring your iPad. I didn't have my iPad. So, like, I had to watch a movie on my phone. So, like, if I was going to fly and, like, I had to choose, I'd probably take, like, first class on, like United or JetBlue or one of those American, like one of those big companies. Because at least, in the non-pandemic, you get service. You get privacy, you get a TV to watch things. And
I have to interrupt you. Only Rico would complain about a private jet. I go on a plane. I have a mutant next to me. I have a mutant on the right of me. I have kids sneezing on me. Rico's in a private jet, and he's complaining he had to watch a movie on his phone.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying if I had to choose. I sit in regular class, Monte. I've sat there before. I've seen it.
And you flew first class, haven't you? You flew first class.
You know, it's tough. Once you fly first class, it's like don't eat caviar. You don't need to know what it tastes like because it's good and it's expensive. So you don't need or truffles. Just stay away from them. There's no reason. I told my nephew, "Oh, Uncle Rico, I want to try truffles." I said, "You don't need to." I said, "Don't worry about it. They're okay. You don't need to go into that world. They're just pricey. You don't need to have another expense."
All right. It's our favorite time of the show where Rico is a gangster right here. Where Rico does his rant at the end of the show, just like Uncle Rico did here in Napoleon Dynamite. Rico, the floor is yours.
Well, here we go. I figured I'd just tell a little story. I don't know if I ever told this story here. I don't know. But one time I got on a plane and just literally woke up. I hit a bet at the track for like $2,000 at the horse track in New Jersey. And I called my friend Tarek in Vegas and Jimmy, and I said, "I'm going to come out to Vegas tomorrow." And they were like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm going to come out tomorrow." And they were like, "Great, come out." They were in college. They had a roommate.
Stop for a second. Tarek and Jimmy. I mean, if that's not the most mobbed up gangster gambler, Tarek and Jimmy. You're just gonna skim over that part of the story.
Well, Tarek is, he's in the Tarek he's Egyptian and he's Muslim and he's whatchamacallit. He's probably the most Italian person I've ever met. He drives around in a Cadillac. He's always tip top. Like if you saw him, he grew up in my house.
Does he say Manigot instead of Manigotti?
He says Manigot. Of course he says Manigot. He doesn't know how to say it any other way. He grew up in my house. I'm not even kidding. He literally we used to be at each other's house all the time. So I go there, right? They're like, "Come over." And when I get there, I say, "Listen, I got like $2,000. It was like $1,500. I said, "I'm just going to stay till the money runs out. I'm going to buy a ticket home on my credit card and, whatever." Cut to, I had these three Jewish guys in New York who used to give me plays. They would give me picks. So we had a whole deal going back and forth with them. They'd give me the picks. I'd put the bets in for them. They'd get half the bets, but they were like 90%. They were like almost a lock. They won. I don't know how they did it, but they won all the time. So they gave me 10 picks in Vegas, and I forgot the part where they sent me with a bunch of money too. So when I went to Vegas, I had a lot of money on me. So I put these bets in for them.
No, wait, you had a lot of cash on you when you went to Vegas.
Yes, I had a lot of cash.
Over 5,000, under 5,000.
Way over 5,000, but the majority wasn't mine. So I guess I broke the law, but I don't know if that's breaking the law, taking that type of money there, because I was going to Vegas. Is there really
no? There's no law about bringing cash. They want you to bring cash.
Exactly. So I don't think that there was any laws being.
Where you broke the law is they probably got it from some local liquor store, some local deli where they make collections every week.
Who knows? I don't ask questions where people get their money. I don't want to know. So they went there. They gave me 10 picks. Out of the 10 picks, I saw 3 that I didn't like. I ended up hitting on 2 different tickets, like 6 games and a 7-game ticket. I ended up winning like $15,000, $20,000. I didn't leave Tarek's house for 7 months. I stayed in Vegas. Literally, so I was in Vegas so long, I broke their couch. I had to buy their couch. I made bets enough to where I actually did, because I was so grateful. I did Tarek a favor, and I went with him and drove his car back across country to get a car to drive back over. It was a great trip. I'm just trying to remember.
So in the 7 months that you were there, did you lose the $15,000 that you originally won?
Actually, surprisingly, funny enough, I did come back home with about $800. And the reason I left was because the roommates that he had were getting a little bit upset, because when I broke the couch, I was totally cool with breaking, because I slept on the couch for 6 months and I broke it. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'll buy a new one. What's the big deal? But apparently one of them had like some connection. I guess it was his couch, and he didn't want it broken.
Did you buy them a nicer couch?
Of course I bought him a nicer couch. I was going to be sleeping on it. I bought a couch. Anyway, what I'm saying, the moral of the story is be careful who you invite to stay over. They might not leave for 6 months.
Especially if that person is Rico and he's winning money.
Yes, exactly. But this was a long time ago. Broken couches and switching cars. That's it. She knows.
Wow. So you spent 7 months in Vegas, and you spent money, but it was money you won from the casino.
It was money I won from the casino. When I left with $800. It was It was a free 6 months of living. And I mean, when I was there, I paid for everything. These kids were in college. You got to remember, they were in college. So we went to the best restaurants. We went out to eat. I mean, I was on fire. There was nowhere I went where I didn't win money. It was one of those moments. And tell you the truth, I think after like month 2 or 3, they were hoping I lost. I feel like they were betting on me to lose, and they couldn't believe that I kept winning.
Well, I got to say this, Rico. The biggest winner of you spending 6 months in Vegas was your family, because they didn't have to see you for 6 months.
Yeah, nobody complained. Now that you think about it, nobody was like, "Where were you? What was going on?" I think they were okay with the weekly or daily phone call that I was fine and everything was okay. Now that I think about it, I'm getting a little bitter about it.
All right, Rico. Want to thank you so much. Want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas season. We'll see you next week.
Are you excited? Real quick, are you excited about today? Today's the day. Today is the last day of fantasy football. I mean, after today, it's like, what do we?
I'm excited. I'm excited. But here's the thing, Rico. I'm going to win. I won money off you. I'm going to win money in every league. But typical me, I'm so angry, and I was so pissed off last night because I'm not winning the $800, the $1,000. I'm winning the $200, the $150.
Well, I am a 50-50 shot in my 2 championships. One of them I had Kamara, so I am in the money easily in 3 of them because I'm going to have second place worst case scenario. But, I mean, today is like the day. This is like –
it's like Christmas.
You got to remember, we've studied all year off season. We do pre-drafts prior to the real draft. Then we do new drafts with the new rookie players that come in. This literally is like, no joke, like 9 months of work comes down to today. Like,
are you watching the games with Levi today? You doing it by yourself?
No, Levi stayed in Miami because he had work today.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He's working. Yeah.
He's down there working. I'm kind of heartbroken. I don't even know. I'm little. It's one of those. I am torn, excited, and heartbroken all at the same time. Now I know what it feels like to be torn and heartbroken.
Rico, you talk about fantasy football and Levi like your wife and your kids.
Melissa, literally, she's like, "Are you having an affair?" I was like, "I am by far having an emotional affair with Levi." Like, I will take him over most people in the world.
I know this from knowing you all these years. The thrill of Rico wears off, where Levi's going to get sick of you eventually. Me and your wife have not gotten sick of you yet. I think Melissa's probably more sick of you than I am, but you know what I'm saying? So she's still in good standing.
She's still around. She's still around. I want to tell everybody, especially your sister Cynthia, Happy New Year. Let's not forget Tuesday. It's my birthday. On December 29th, I accept $200 Venmo gift cards. If anybody feels like sending one or canceling a request, it's totally
I'm cutting you off on camera because I don't want to bring people into this. But Rico didn't even wish me a happy birthday, didn't text me. We're doing the Third and Goal Packer podcast. And with like 2 minutes left in the show, Rico goes, "Hey, Monte, happy birthday."
Do you know, you didn't text me Merry Christmas this year. I was a little hurt.
You didn't text me happy birthday.
I told you in person. We were live. I said it live.
At 9 o'clock at night?
Well, I'm in California. To me, it was 6 o'clock. It was 5 o'clock over here. I was actually perfectly on time.
Rico does have a crush on the sports philosopher. All right, Rico, we ran a little bit late. We'll see you. I'll send you my Venmo information. If I don't get that money, we're going to have people come knocking on your door.
Don't send me the Venmo. You're not going to get it.
All right. That was Rico Show Me the Money Graziano. Does a tremendous job. Love to hear his gambling stories. They are so funny. Real quick, just going to spend a minute on my extra point here. Look, guys, politics is – I used to do a political show. I don't do it anymore. It's too divisive. But I just want to say this, okay? In February, the guy running the country said we'd be down to 0 with coronavirus cases soon. I'm tired of watching NBA games with no fans. I'm tired of watching NFL games with no fans. The Packers tonight, okay, in Lambeau Field, playing Tennessee in the snow. There should be fans there. There should be fans there. But we have no leadership. We have no leadership, and it's disgusting. It really is disgusting. Okay? He said it would be down to 0 in February, and you look at what's happening. I mean, I want the juice of the fans. Do you know how excited I am for the Packers-Titans tonight in Lambeau in the snow? And there's going to be no fans there. There's going to be no fans there. Why? Because as our government continues to fail us, we're on our own. And I miss the fans. I really do. I watched NBA, got the NBA League Pass, and I hate not seeing the fans there, especially when the Lakers had their ring ceremony. Look, I want to thank Daniel Goodwin for joining us. I want to thank Ariana Prasad for joining us. I want to thank Rico Show Me the Money Graziano for joining us. And most of all, I want to thank you. This show is trending number 3 on YouTube. We got to get it number 1. Tell one friend. Tell one family member about this show so we can reach our goal. And in the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.